My name is Clara. I'll turn 49 next month. I live by a quiet lake in a small brick house where mornings begin with soft light and the whisper of waves. My life feels simple, perhaps too simple now. My husband, Peter, is 52. We've shared 26 years together, years filled with laughter, quarrels, and silence. Once we promised forever. Now, forever feels like a long hallway with doors we no longer open. Our 2 children are grown. They call on weekends, visit less often. I tell them I'm fine. I always say that. The truth is, the house feels emptier than ever, its walls heavy with unsaid words. Peter spends most evenings on the sofa, remote in hand, surrounded by snack wrappers. The glow from the television paints his face in pale blues and yellows, colors of detachment. He doesn't even glance when I pass. Sometimes I tease, "You'll soon grow roots in that sofa." He chuckles half-heartedly, eyes still glued to the screen. I smile too, pretending humor can fill the gap that love once did. Each morning begins the same. Coffee brewing, curtains drawn, a faint hum of routine. I water the plants, sweep the floor, feed the stray cat outside. I move like clockwork, trying not to think too deeply. Peter used to help, cooking breakfast on Sundays, washing dishes after dinner. Now he says, "I work hard all day, Clara. Let me rest." Rest, I think, has become his way of disappearing. We don't fight anymore. There's no point. Silence has become our language, a truce built on avoidance. Some days I wonder if peace without warmth is still peace at all. I used to imagine us traveling after retirement, seeing mountains, oceans, places we'd only dreamed about. But lately, I've realized Peter and I stopped dreaming together years ago. Maybe that's where everything began to fade. That Saturday morning felt ordinary. The sky was pale, the air cool. I planned to buy groceries and bake an apple pie. Small joys keep me moving, little anchors that remind me I'm still here. I grabbed my tote bag, checked my list, reached for my wallet, and paused. My card was missing. I remembered leaving it upstairs in another purse. Annoyed, but calm, I turned back toward the stairs. That's when I heard his voice. Soft, gentle, too gentle. "Yes, sweetheart," Peter said with a tone I hadn't heard in decades. I froze, my heartbeat stuttering. Sweetheart. The word hung in the air like smoke. I stood still in the hallway, groceries forgotten, breath caught halfway. My hands trembled. I pressed my back against the wall and listened. He laughed softly. "You make my days brighter," he said. My vision blurred. Brighter? When had he last said anything bright to me? His laughter sounded young again, carefree. It was a sound I hadn't heard in years, and it wasn't meant for me. The call ended. The room grew quiet except for the buzz of the television. I walked in slowly. He was still holding his phone, face relaxed, until he saw me standing there. "Who was that?" I asked softly. My voice shook, but I didn't hide it. He hesitated, eyes darting. "Just a friend," he said. My heart sank. "A friend who makes your days brighter?" He opened his mouth, searching for words that wouldn't come. "Her name is Lena," he finally whispered. The name sounded sharp, foreign. I felt something inside me fracture, yet I stayed calm, too calm. "Lena," I repeated. "After all these years, Peter." He looked away. "She listens to me, makes me feel alive." That word, alive, stabbed deeper than any confession of love could. I almost laughed. Alive?
I whispered. You need another woman to feel alive? I gave you my best years, held you when no one else did, and this is how you return it? He lowered his eyes. I didn't mean to hurt you. His voice cracked, but it was too late. Something in me was ending, and something else was being born, a quiet strength. I straightened my shoulders. Then go, I said calmly. Go be alive somewhere else. The words came out steady, even though my heart was splintering inside. He looked up, shocked, unsure if I meant it. Now? He asked. I nodded. Yes, now. Pack your things, call Lena, leave. He blinked, trying to gather the fragments of control slipping away from him. This is my home, he muttered. Not anymore. You turned it into a memory. He stared at me, silent, then stood. For the first time in years, he looked small, like a man realizing what he'd lost.
He gathered his wallet and keys, glancing around the room as if seeing it for the first time. Please, Clara, he whispered. Don't do this. I turned away. Go, I said quietly. The door closed behind him. The sound was sharp, final. I stood there, staring at the empty space he'd left. The silence now thicker than before, yet strangely lighter. For the first time in years, the living room was still. The sofa looked emptier than ever. I sat at the kitchen table, tears streaming, whispering, 26 years, and this. That night I wandered through each room, the photos, the souvenirs, the small tokens of a shared life. Each object carried a story, and every story felt like it no longer belonged to me. The next morning, I called my daughter, Amelia. My voice trembled as I told her everything. She listened quietly, then said softly, Mom, you always taught me self-respect. Now it's time to live it. Her words settled in me like sunlight through glass. For the first time, I realized I wasn't powerless. I had simply forgotten my own strength while caring for everyone else. That day, I called a lawyer. My hands shook as I signed the papers. Divorce, a word that once terrified me, now felt like freedom trying to find its way home. Weeks passed. Peter texted, called, apologized, begged. But words don't rebuild trust. They only echo what's already gone. I stayed silent. Sometimes silence is not weakness, it's armor. One afternoon, I saw Lena outside our gate. Nervous, hesitant. I approached her calmly. He belongs to no one now, I said. Do what you will with that. She had no reply. That evening, I sat on the porch watching the sunset turn gold. The silence didn't ache anymore. It felt full, like a pause before a song begins again. The days grew brighter. I replaced the old couch, painted the walls a soft sage green. Each change felt symbolic, like reclaiming small pieces of myself one brushstroke at a time. I took down our old photos, not out of anger, but peace. The past didn't need to vanish, it just needed to rest. I placed them gently in a box marked once. I joined a local art class, something I'd postponed for decades. My first painting was clumsy, but freeing. With every brushstroke, I whispered small apologies to the woman I'd neglected for so long. Loneliness still visits sometimes, but it no longer frightens me. It's quieter now, almost kind. Loneliness, I learned, isn't emptiness. It's space waiting to be filled with new beginnings. I started traveling, short trips first, to the countryside, then to the coast. Each sunrise I watched alone felt like a conversation with myself.
a reminder that solitude can be sacred. I met new people, artists, writers, dreamers. They spoke about purpose, not perfection. Around them, I began to laugh again, not politely, not carefully, but freely. Months later, I received the final divorce papers. I brewed jasmine tea, sat by the window, and signed my name without trembling. It wasn't an ending. It was an arrival. Outside, the sky turned golden. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like someone's wife or someone's half. I felt whole, quietly, wonderfully whole. I began keeping a journal. Each night, I'd write one line. What made me smile today? Some days, it was just sunlight on water. Other days, it was simply me. Peter wrote once more, a letter. He said he missed us. I read it slowly, then placed it in a drawer. Missing something doesn't mean you should return to it. I started a small garden near the porch. Roses, mint, lavender, each plant a symbol of patience, care, and renewal. They grew, just as I did, steadily, quietly, beautifully. Sometimes I still think of him, not with anger, but acceptance. Some stories end not because of hate, but because love simply stops fitting where it once belonged. My friends say I look lighter now. Maybe they're right. Healing doesn't happen all at once. It unfolds, petal by petal, moment by moment. One evening, as I painted a landscape, I realized I had painted peace itself. Wide skies, calm water, no shadows. My brush finally knew what my heart had been searching for. I no longer measure my life by who stayed or left. I measure it by how gently I now treat myself, by how much light I allow in. This morning, I looked in the mirror and whispered, "You made it." The woman looking back smiled, not with pride, but gratitude. She had built a new life with her own hands. I brewed tea, opened the window, and watched the lake shimmer in morning light. "It's never too late," I whispered, because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is begin again.